We're live, but they're just hooking up. So, oh, wait a minute. Let me see if they're actually doing it. Yeah, I thought it was strange because I used to have that. It's not really a pain, but it's like a very uncomfortable feeling, like you can't even lay a blanket on it. And I used to have it quite a bit, and then a whole lot. And then once, maybe a year and a half ago, something happened and it just stopped. And then 2 days ago, it started again. So I'm laying in bed trying to connect, and like the blanket's on my solar, and I can't take any pressure on it at all. And then last night, Morgan started pulling in this channel, and sometimes when she pulls it in, it's like I can't tell if I already knew it or if it's just that past, present, future merging, right? And it was just about these. The way I saw it was, and I remember everything she said, but the way I was seeing it was I was seeing the triad, especially where you had two that were connected, be it romantic or not, that had the same frequency, and then meeting other people. Well, that's a triad, but then another couple comes in, and then you have all these multiplicity triads happening, and the geometry just exploded. So I don't know. Today seems to be huge day, which doesn't surprise me with you coming on.
It's definitely big things happening.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and then I got to tell you this too. While we're still waiting for people to come in, we got 27 people in, but let's give it a little more time. The other thing was, so you did that soul reading a couple of years ago that you sent me, and then you did the one that you added to it with Morgan, right? And so something was happening, and I've gotten this before, but Morgan and I were talking like 2-3 nights ago, and then this thing just came in. It just came in, and it's like, you've been doing this all along. And the first thing I thought of trying to understand it was your soul reading, because in the soul reading, I realized that through all incarnations, I've been like protecting the feminine, basically, that this secreted lineage that's just gone through, regardless of all the things that have happened on the earth. But it even went like galactic and beyond galactic. It was very powerful, but it reminded me of that soul reading that you gave me. So we got the beautiful and brave and beloved Judith Kusel, South Africa, our beloved sister, who's been leading the charge for a long time. And by the way, I said this to you last time, but you have absolutely been on fire. You have absolutely been posting, like, I don't know how many times you're doing it, but and every one of them are full of substance and real-time intel. Like everything's that you're saying is like so many people, the things that we're writing are all aligning. They're just being said a little bit different, but I don't know. Today, I feel like it's a very powerful day. I know it is. And maybe we could start there, but welcome back. It's always a pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming on again and, honoring us with your presence. But do you feel like today is a huge day or a marker or something? I know we got the solstice coming, or what is it? Yeah, the solstice. But
I first want to say hello to everybody and thank you so much for being here. And I love you all and thank you so much for your support. And I'm so glad you're supporting Todd too, because he has been doing tremendous work and he's been doing that for many, many lifetimes. And that I know because I was in some with him. So yeah, it's running it. In any case, yes, there are huge things coming. I was actually shown how the sun disks are being returned. The sun disks actually they hold within them the information and the keys and codes, which are actually being activated in the souls now. The soul's deepest knowing within itself is being activated. And this is now really, really coming to the fore, that we need to understand, who in truth we are and live that with all of our beings. And like since yesterday, I had this tremendous pain in my solar plexus and my coccyx area. And I realized this is a full activation of the sun disk, because they do activate through the solar plexus, but also through your soul star. because your soul star is just above your head, and that your soul star itself actually has all the knowledge that your soul has ever gained through all existences and universes or wherever it was. So these two are activated together with a heart center. And this is a very, very powerful opening now. It opens up everything that we cannot even dream of now. And what I'm getting the message so much that we need to now feel the inner joy, the joy of stepping fully in a new creation, but also with the knowledge and the power of what we had gained over all lifetimes and existences and parallel existences. So this is all being returned now, and we are literally being lifted now beyond anything we've ever known before. Yeah. It's very powerful.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Like another thing that happened this morning too. Well, first of all, I don't know if everybody heard this, but I was telling Judith, or she was telling me, but the bottom line is, as of 2 days ago, we both had this uncomfortable, tender, feeling in our solar. And I was wondering why, because it hasn't happened to me in like a year and a half. But that, and one of the other things that I've noticed, and this is, through reading some people, listening to Morgan, watching some things happen, and that is, there's like this, like what you just said, what does that look like on the human level? And it's like these disentanglements of the toxic relationships, or let's say the codependent relationships, and how that is having an effect on our relationships, be they romantic or business or any other. They almost look like they're separating, ending, but they're not, right? Like they're like, everybody has to pull it in themselves, and then we come back together. But everything's changing at that level. Are you seeing any of that? Are you experiencing any of that?
Yes, I've had that very powerful experience actually a week or two ago, where something, what happened is I had a very strange letter, email that was sent to me. It had to do with my involvement, with my twin flame in the past. I thought to myself, now what the heck do I get this email for? Because, I haven't had any, sort of like any contact, for more than a year. And I thought to myself, now what the heck is this woman suddenly sending me this letter, and as that came up, I realized that I don't always know with whom you were involved in other lifetimes and existences. And although I knew this woman, from sort of like, I knew her, I've met her, and etc., but I never had like sort of close contact with her. But and then I actually started sitting down. I thought to myself, why is this coming up at this exact moment? And interestingly, a week before that, I had a very strange dream. And when that email came, it was like, aha, this is now coming together. And then I realized that I had to release that now I had to release myself and this woman and whoever else was involved in any lifetime or existences in any form that might have been like like a love triangle or something like that I'm not even sure what happened there, because I can very seldom recall that for myself. I'm very good for doing it for other people, but not for myself. But the minute that I actually released that, everything was lifted.
Wow. Yeah, that's okay. So that's another way to say what I've been experiencing for myself, which is, as these disentanglements are occurring, as the stories of these disentanglements, however that communication went or didn't go, or whatever the contention is, that above that, there's this overriding thing that says, no matter what the story is, no matter what happens, that's you, and don't take it personal, and don't be in a prolonged anger, or whatever it is. Just know that this really is perfect, and it is that that breaking down to come back together again. Yeah,
because it is only love. Love never ends. Love is infinite. It's always present. It just changes form. And the thing is also, if you have loved somebody, that love is eternal. It's infinite. It might just come in different, in different forms and ways. Because if you actually go back into your soul body, your original body, excuse me, your galactic core body, the body that you actually have in your galaxy of origin. You and whoever you loved and whoever is your twin is in any case one. You can get back to the oneness. You always have been one, and you are one and the same. So you can never really be separated. The same as your soulmates, that they're always with you. There's a beautiful Irish term for that, an anamkara. An anamkara is part of your own soul. And you are part of their souls, and that is why the souls are being pulled together now, who need to move into the new earth now together. And it might be not the twin. When the twin is not ready, it might be the soul mate, but you always have that soul companion that will walk with you the path, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I think a lot of us over the last few years that weren't already hermits, became hermits. I mean, don't really talk much, but what you said is very true. For all of that being said, and we've all experienced that and had to work through that kind of a challenge, there is at least one person out there that, you're right, that we have. Actually, I think there's more. If I look at my own situation, I'm listening to you thinking of 6, 8, 10, 12 people that are coming together, and it's not even in a conscious intention. It's just happening, like magnetism.
I was astounded, lasted like in this year, how everything is coming together. Like last year, I was given a lot of information. I didn't know how this was coming to form and being, but I can actually now witness it. And the other day, I was seeing how all the strands are coming together, and I just stood there and I had tears. I was so overwhelmed, because I thought to myself, wow, this is coming together in ways that I could never have dreamt of.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It goes beyond words.
Yeah, that's a good description too. Like almost like stop trying to figure it out. Stop, in fact, it's coming so fast you don't have time to really anymore. So I don't think we'll be given a choice. But the the end result is that you're in this space of presence, and you almost, it's like being on automatic pilot, isn't it? Really, at some level.
Yeah, I'm constantly being told that get out of the thinking mode, just allow yourself to experience this in the presence as it unfolds, and then to find the joy in its unfolding, and you will find that miracles happen everywhere. And I'm really experiencing that in the last few weeks. I've actually just sat and I feel myself, wow. These are miracles that are happening. The thing is, what they always think, the miracles that will happen will come with a big media spiel, it will be headlines all over the world. That's not going to happen. It's within each individual, and allowing the miracles to unfold in their lives, and being able to embrace them, and being able to see them and know them. Yeah. That's where the miracle is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When the first time we ever did a show, this was 2.5 years ago, and we didn't know each other, and I had a monumental morning, and I'd never seen a solar disc, a sun disc. I'd never seen one, and I was at my friend's house before you and I went on, and I saw one come out of the water, and then I got on with you. And told you about it, and then I sat there and cried for the next hour and a half. But the reason I'm bringing that up, and that's a great memory, by the way, is because you mentioned it again this morning. Is this the first time you've seen them back, in a while? I mean, is there a certain reason why they're reappearing to you now?
Well, the thing is, when I was, when I first encountered the sun disk was in France, when I was in France in 2016. And I started to work, and in Versailles, I actually had to activate a lot of the sun disks. And then I realized that these were ancient sites, that were so ancient that they were, like, people think of Versailles as with the Sun King, Louis XIV. But Louis XIV knew something when he built, the palace, and called it the Sun Palace.
Wow.
because it used to be the place where the greatest of all standing stones were, like the Stonehenge in Britain. The Stonehenge was there at Versailles, and it was actually dedicated to the temple of the sun, but no, the solar sun. In other words, the sun of illumination. And it actually linked to a lot of the sacred sites in France, where now, where later the Templars built the churches over the goddess sites. They were the goddess sites because they worked with the spiraling energy. You see, the spiraling energy is your Tesla coil. And wherever that is in the earth, it's a sacred place, because you can literally, if you are on that site, you can access cosmic information. You can actually sort of move interdimensional, and it becomes like a portal that where you can open this up. And then I encountered them again when I was in Greece, and activated them. And then when I was in Egypt, immense ones were activated there. And I did them last year before I went to America. I did also work with them and remotely, and then I was silent. I didn't, for months I didn't sort of connect with them. But in the last 2 weeks, I was shown how these solar discs are absolutely activated, and how they now are being activated in every single one who is ready to receive that activation. Wow. Because they contain the keys and codes for our souls now to get fully activated, so that we can step into the fullness of our truth and the truth of our soul, and to bring that knowing that is in our soul, stored in our soul star, and also our solar plexus and our heart center, that we can bring this knowledge into the new age, in other words, to the new earth.
Yeah. So it's I mean, I guess the only dumb question is the one you don't ask, right? But I mean, on behalf of everybody, all of us, me, like, if we want to connect and integrate with the sun disk, it's as simple as us doing what we've been doing, learning to do better and better. And that is just to go in and access it, individually. And I mean, that would be the way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because within every soul, if they are, the same, and you always work with your higher guides that in any case will enable you to access them to the degree that you can handle it. Mm-hmm. But you yourself have got to be at a certain frequency level in order to be able to access them. Now, some people will not be able to access them because it is something you need to have your upper channels, your transmitter channels totally open. And the thing is, a lot of people, their transmitter channels are blocked, and mainly because this gets into the way. The mind is too busy. And they start analyzing everything to the T. And when you start analyzing everything to the T, you're blocking out the energy. Because now you're trying to fix everything, and you're trying to understand everything. And that is why a lot of the signs today have actually lost their heart, because they're trying to get the heart of the equation, and you just go totally in the mind. And then you can start creating against divine law. The minute you open your heart and everything is activated, you cannot go outside divine laws, because divine will and your will become one and the same.
Yes. And then this is happening now, and we're 2.5 weeks away from the equinox. Do you have any information on that? Because it sure looks like a big tsunami. I'm just hoping I can get on the top of it and don't get crushed by it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, they've been telling me the last few weeks that enormous things are happening, in the inner planes, what we're not even aware of. It's the thing is, humanity is being lifted now in a way that the old is really that's why one should not, so get involved in too much of the information that is now being released to everybody, and this is going on and that is going on and this is going to be and that is going to be. Rather keep yourself focused inside yourself and not allow the outside to disturb your inner equilibrium.
Right.
Because there is things happening in the inner planes that we are not aware of.
Yes. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, well, I was going to say, one, how would you describe the inner planes? And two, it's almost like the, like what you said about like say the mainstream media or whatever the narratives are, that's just an extension of the mind that you were talking about earlier that gets in the way, basically. Yeah. But how would you describe the inner planes? Are you talking inner Earth, or what do you mean?
Yes, those are the intergalactic councils and the work that they're busy doing. So they're doing tremendous work on Earth. I mean, I've never encountered universal masters, but they are here. I mean, I'm to this level. You understand? I've encountered them before, but they are here now. They're overseeing this whole process because the Milky Way galaxy itself is busy moving into a higher dimensional frequency. Now we're not separated from the greater whole, okay? Because we're part of the greater universe, and we are part of a galactic system. So we are part of a solar system and the counter solar system and the galaxy and the counter galaxy, because we do have a counter galaxy. Its name is Melchior. Now, it comes out in my readings because a lot of souls come from Melchior, from the counter universe. You see, there's so much that we don't know as humanity, but we knew it at one stage, but we've forgotten about it. Now, with the universe is always balanced. You never have just one side. You've got the other side as well. So you always have the one that counterbalances the other because they balance each other out. Now, within this, when it's decreed that the galaxy needs to ascend into a higher frequency band, the solar system can't say, I'm not going with you.
Right.
So in other words, the Earth cannot say to the intergalactic councils, hey, I'm not doing this because I'm an entity on my own. That doesn't work that way.
It's truly a collective thing, right? I mean, whether you're a person or a planet, you don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice because you are one. So in other words, and the thing is with planet Earth, they have been pulling like, sort of stroppily that's why we destroyed ourselves in Atlantis, because we didn't want to adhere to the rest. And that's why we fell into the third dimension. But now Atlantis is coming to the fore now with all the Atlantean souls who need to remaster themselves so that they can step into that state of oneness and unity again. And this time they actually have a choice. Do you want to make the same old mistakes again as you did last time? Or are you now going to ascend into the new Earth? That's your choice.
It sounds like we've been a stubborn bunch down here. But a stubborn human makes a stubborn soul. And I think there's something good about a stubborn soul, because it's always going to keep going. It's always going to, yeah. I love that. No, none of us have, and that kind of brings us, you could say someone that's incarnated as a human to the same level, as a planet, as a solar system, because that's reality. There's no hierarchy out there, really, is there? I mean, at the core, yeah.
The thing is, when I do soul readings, I'm always astounded at the master souls that have incarnated on planet Earth.
Yeah.
I was doing a soul reading for a 9-year-old yesterday, a 9-year-old boy who's one of the new sun children who's been born since 2012. They're the new humans. They come from the central sun, the seventh central sun of illumination. Now that seventh central sun is directly linked to Sirius, and through Sirius it's beamed right into planet Earth, because Sirius is one of the co-creators of planet Earth, and the intergalactic council sit in Sirius. Now these children come from the seventh galaxy of the seventh central sun.
Wow.
They already have the keys and codes of illumination within them. And in this boy's case, it was about sound and sound technology that this child actually holds within him. And when I did the reading, I was going in such a high frequency that afterwards I was quite dizzy.
Like I am right now. I'm getting bombarded by my multi-downloads. Just keep going now. This is very interesting. Yeah, keep going.
But and he's not the only child that I've done them for. I've done them for babies, newborn babies, and I understand that we are dealing with a new creation.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Allison beat me to the punch. She said if Mary Rodwell and Judith came together on a show. But yeah, she wrote that book, The New Human, and she works a lot with children. I don't know if you know her, but she's a beautiful lady like you. So you actually, so there are parents that are conscious enough to come to you and say, will you do a reading on my child? Wow.
And it helps these children because, you know, when the parents realize the caliber of a soul that they are responsible for, everything within them changes, because now they can guide the child immediately into the right direction. And don't let the schooling systems get hold of these children, please.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole life I've been at it, because as librarian I used to say, please don't shut these children down. Don't classify them, don't label them. You know, they label them and then they give them drugs and goodness knows what, and they shut them down.
Yeah.
These are high caliber souls that bring genius. They bring their genius to this planet so that the genius can be brought into form and being.
Wow. I bet you never thought that your God-given talent for the soul readings was going to create a cottage industry of how to parent children in the 5D. I mean, think about it. I mean, think about the mindset of a parents that would go to you to get a soul reading. Well, you already know that they're going to take whatever information that comes from it and embody it and apply it, which is fascinating.
Well, I've had parents coming back to me and saying, thank you. You know, since we actually know who the child is blossoming, you know,
Yeah.
because now they're directing them in the right direction. And as always in the reading says, you should never have somebody teaching more than 7 children at once, because an individual teacher cannot handle more than 7 children and actually bring the genius out in every single child.
Well, they'd be better than me. I could only handle 1 or 2.
Exactly.
And I have 6 kids.
If you stand in front of a class of 40 children, you cannot give individual attention. No. It's impossible.
No, that's a lot of energy. You know, if you think about it from an energetic standpoint, that's a lot of pure energy. So it's, you know, it's all over the place. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Somebody wanted to, and I actually had the same thought. If you could speak a little bit more, because I've never heard that before. What was it? Melchior? Is that what you called it?
Melchior.
Yes.
Yeah. It's Melchior. You must remember I'm German speaking, so I sometimes pronounce it differently.
Well, I'm Texan speaking, so I'm just ripping these words up. But yeah, could you just speak a little bit about that and a little history or whatever?
Okay. When I first started on my journey, I was told that you know, when Earth was first created, okay, you must remember the inner Earth, Agatha, which really exists. It does exist, and that is 7-dimensional. It's always been 7-dimensional. It's never been anything else. That was like a satellite. That was a station, like a substation that was created by the intergalactic fleet. And then later, souls that are on the intergalactic councils and also with their motherships, etc., they're very highly evolved souls. So they start as co-creators, and they started creating the crust of the earth, because they are involved actually in the creation of planets. Even if this sounds like, your mind can't go there, go into your heart and you will know the truth, because a lot of the souls who were involved in the beginning have incarnated, so they know what the truth is deep inside them. But I was always brought to the idea that when the wars of heaven broke out, that this solar system was completely thrown out of orbit because one of the planets blew itself up between Mars and Jupiter. So there's only this asteroid belt that's over there. But it also threw the counter solar system out of balance. And that is why with all these, some galaxies were blown up and some star systems. And the Milky Way galaxy actually was thrown out of orbit too. It's not in the place it was originally in. So that is why the seventh central sun is now so important, because the whole of a galaxy was first actually attached to the seventh central sun of illumination. But when this whole thing was thrown out of orbit, we were thrown out of the wrong, we were sort of thrown out of orbit of that. But the Milky Way galaxy actually has its counter galaxy. And that counter galaxy then also consists of all the solar system. So our counter solar system is in the Melchior galaxy.
Okay. So it's like a mirror image of our galaxy.
Yeah.
God, that's wild. That's wild. That's incredible. I mean, that's just this much of the story, right? This thing's so complex. But like when you talk about Antarctica, because I've been saying this for years, I've been telling Morgan, I don't know what it is, but I know I'm going to end up there. I don't know what that means. And maybe it means I just feel the resonance or the alignment of it. But I just feel like that there's going to be some physical evidence and proof of what's actually happening at some point. It's not going to be about a secret space or, all these other types of things. It's actually going to be, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but to me, the feel of it is like we're going to see our family under Mount Shasta. We're going to see our family from Agartha. We're going to see some of the stuff that's been right next to us. I guess because our frequency overall is raising. You said they were seventh dimension, for instance, down there, but I guess that's.
You see, you can only interact with them, in a physical way until you get to the seventh dimensional state. Now, if they appear before you, you will not see them with your physical eyes because they're too high vibration. You see, you can see them with your third eye, and you can sense that they are there. But you will not be able to physically interact with them because your 3D body will disintegrate if it goes into the energy fields. You understand? They can project a holographic image of themselves, which you can interact with easily. That's all right. When I do my remote work, I work with them, in a lot of ways, because I can see them, and also interact with them. But you interact on the multidimensional state, not on your normal state.
Right.
And other physical me cannot interact with them, but my higher dimensional state can. But the thing is, they're just as real as we are. And they are also called the ancient ones, because part of those of the Agarthians are ancient ones. They are souls that actually promised and they vowed that they would never they would never leave this planet until we have reached the seventh dimensional state again. And a lot of those ancient souls have now actually incarnated in physical form because they're finding themselves to me for soul readings. And they actually hold the knowledge of Elysium and the Lion Kingdom and Avalon and Lemuria and Mu and also Atlantis within them as it is in its pure state. They were always the ones that is when, like, after the flood, when humanity had completely lost everything and they literally had to go from primitive state again. They were the ones that rebrought the civilization to those places because they held the knowledge.
So if we
And
run into somebody in the community who's really tired, who's like, sometimes you hear that from people like, man, I've been doing this forever. Let's get this done. I'm tired. I want to go. ES on YouTube, the soul reading she's referring to is one of the things that she does, that she was called to do. She does soul readings, and she did one for myself and my beautiful bride a year or two ago. And I've had other friends, by the way, that have gone to her for them and written me afterwards. I didn't know they approached you, but I remember two specifically that wrote me and said, thank you for connecting me to Judith. So that's what we're referring to, just so you'll know. Wow. Yeah.
There's so much information. There's so much knowledge that we have lost. It's not that it's been lost. It's actually stored in energy fields. Because when I was going into France and I started looking at these standing stones and so on, especially at Karnak and so on, where they're finding, and I started working with them, I realized that these stones were not just there by accident. They were there by great design, whatever. It's because they're like a giant energy machine in fine. But I also realized, like the Druids, they always say they didn't have a written language. Well, they didn't need a written language.
Right.
The Druids knew how to store information energetically and how to retrieve it energetically. We just forgotten about it. You understand?
Yes, absolutely. Do you think that, because I've noticed that, because obviously Morgan and I have traveled around. I think she's been over here. She's been over, I want to say around 25 states, and a lot of it, most of it really has been driving. And do you think that that's got something to do, like, for instance, the experiences we've had, I know others have, the grid, what people call grid work, because it's like you're going there or passing through there, whatever, for a reason. It's kind of a mutual thing, I guess. But I can remember many times that occurring. So maybe the soul, is driving us to these certain points on the grid. It's such a symphony, the whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because the thing is, your soul at some level, your higher soul self, or whatever you want to call it, where you're connected to your divine essence and embrace that essence, you will automatically be pulled to such places, and you will access this in a way that speaks to you. For some people, this may be through sound, For some, it may be through visions and prophetic dreams or something. For some, it might literally, that information comes to them. For each one, it will be different to the level that their soul integrates, because we are all unique at soul level. We're not all the same.
Yes to that. Yes. And as far as, like, if there's an air or a reality right now, this disentanglement of the codependent frequency, we'll just call it that, I would have to think that because everything's being driven from ourselves, that must be occurring within ourselves. Like, so we're disentangling from, let's say, I don't know, ego or behaviors or patterns. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's right. Because, the thing is with that, in the 3D, you were programmed from the minute that you were born. Mm-hmm. You had to, literally sort of, you took in the programming from your parents and whoever was before your parents, and then you took it from your teachers and from society and whatever else. Here in South Africa, when I grew up in the apartheid system, where we were in a very tight regime type of thing, and that was within the Calvinistic sort of like structures and the real patriarchal sort of things like that. And I was lucky because in my 20s, I encountered, had somebody from Germany coming over, and they literally started to dismantle everything that that our programming sort of brought in. And that was the greatest shock at that stage, because I realized how much programming I took in even the first 21 years of my life. And once I've actually started to realize that, I was dismantling that, about the rest of my life, because I always asked, what is the truth? I want to know the truth.
Right.
I don't want to take things at face value. I want to know the truth within myself. And I want to know that that truth resonates with my soul in the deepest level. And that has really stood me in great stance, because now I will not just take anything at face level. I will say, is this the truth?
Yeah.
The universal truth? Is this the divine truth? And is this what resonates with my soul?
Yeah.
Because we are here to live our truth now, to live our truth with intent, and to live it with all that we have. And it doesn't matter what other people think and what they say. It's what your truth is that you need to stand in, because we all are beautiful souls, and we all have genius within ourselves. We are not meant to be like anybody else, but the beauty is that in the end we are all one, because your gifts and talents and my gifts and talents and our uniqueness actually create the greater whole. So everybody is in their own way special and unique, and functions within the greater whole as they are meant to. And that's the beauty of it.
Yes. And all these anomalies and aberrations, like the one that just happened about a minute and a half ago, because you didn't just speak light language, did you? Because I actually heard, like, did you speak light language? Oh my God. Did everybody hear that? It was like 2 sentences, and I went, what? It just came out. And the crazy thing was, it was almost like you were speaking 2 voices, because the human words, I heard the human words, but I heard the light language. It was crazy. You just weren't going to say anything. You just weren't going to say anything at all either. You're just like, see if he can handle this one. Wow. This is really exciting.
That is the new communication. They're telling me that. They said the new communication will be heart to heart, soul to soul.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't lie anymore. You will be authentic and real. And everybody can read your thoughts here on your mind. You won't be able to think anything because people will read what you say, because we're going back to telepathy. And you see it through the heart center and your solar plexus center that you can teleport. And literally, when you can stand in these places, where you are on the grid type of thing, I always say it's a crystalline energy centers. If you stand on that, you can teleport anywhere you want to. We've just lost it.
Far out. I remember that almost happened to me in Hawaii when we were there. Morgan was in Australia, and it must have been one of those places, because it was a field, and I would go out there, and I remember connecting, and there was these beings, and I, because we're talking about the solar, how it kind of feels uncomfortable like the last 2 days, but this was the other direction, and it was twirling, and I stopped it because I literally felt my physical body about to leave, which was kind of freaky, but I do it again. I need to get back to that place. I think a lot of these, what we would call supernatural things, these things that would seem fantastical, we're getting more and more comfortable with it. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's going to happen, is we're going to be able to actually do it because we're going to allow it.
Yeah. The thing is, the fear factor will move out of the way.
Yeah.
Because, we often, what we did not understand, we feared. You see, that's also why we label those who don't understand. We say they, you see, because we don't understand them, we fear them. But the thing is, you've got to step past your fear and really understand that in truth, if you are on a certain level, you are everything.
Yeah.
You literally are the energy. You are the energy field. Once you actually step into that energy field, you can direct that energy wherever you wish to.
Yeah. That's right. And it's so weird too, because you're starting to see more and more connections that are, let's say, not romantic. where you can see the oneness between two. Because I mean, we got to start with one before we can go to 2 and 3 and 4. But the math behind it, as you see more people doing it, is like exponential, right? And then the thing you said about, you know, asking for the truth. Yeah, the answer comes back in a feeling, doesn't it? It doesn't like, yes, that's true. No, that's not. Maybe it does sometimes, but it's the body, right? I mean, it's the body that tells you, yeah. So that's going to be interesting too. I guess that's part of telepathy.
Your gut feeling always is right. You know what your gut tells you. It's there. You just know. You know, and the thing, if you ignore that, you normally get yourself into trouble sometime or the other, because your deepest knowing lies inside yourself. It's just like, and also we always think that you have to be physically with somebody, in order to have that soul connection. That's not true.
No.
Because you can actually be as one with the soul who's on the other end of the world, or is in a different universe, and you still are one. So we've got to get out of the physicality of thinking and physicality of beliefs, and understanding that there is no separation.
Yeah, right on.
You can actually energetically be with somebody without needing to be physically with them.
Yeah, I can attest to that. And it was sexy too. Soul sexy. Yeah, because that was like it's like 3 or 4 years into waking up. That first time she just said, "Can I have permission to hold your heart in my hands? I'm going to reach through the ethers." And I'm like, "Yes." And then you feel it and like, "Oh my God, game on." But and then I mean, so many different aspects of our journey. All of our journeys are taking on, really, if we look at it in the context of, say, 10 years ago, taking on miraculous, fantastic, characteristics, and we're getting used to it.
I was just thinking about, the science fiction that that even written a few years ago. We are actually transcending that. What we still think as science fiction, we are living already, and but we're not noticing it. But we will notice it more and more in the next few weeks and months. Things will start to happen, and we will traverse, whatever we had before, because we're stepping into totally unknown territory now. And the thing is, now you at this moment, you are already creating your future. But with every word that you speak, with everything you think, with every action you take, but it's going to be projected outwards now to such speed that they will literally sort of find ourselves just one day waking up totally in the new earth.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen like snap, and then we are there. It's like, okay, all right.
I feel it. I feel it. It's like, like when you're sleeping all night and you start to go into that state of, where you're conscious in your sleep, but you're still technically asleep, and you're like trying to get up. And on that note too, it's kind of an inverse metaphor, I guess. So like over the last couple of days, I was telling Stephen Popiotek this yesterday on the show. He's a MyLab, guy, and really well versed in a lot of different things. But I have had this feeling like the team, like in the last 2-3 days, it didn't happen last night because I was really tired, but there's been like this bubble or glass kind of window thing, dome looking thing. And they're on the other side, and they're trying to not break it down, but in other words, I can see the excitement for the connection to go to another level. But at the same time, I'm still searching for, why am I not, what do I need to do in order to get there?
Yeah, it's very hard at the moment because we're doing a balancing act we already like we are, in the new earth, but we still like one leg is still in the old earth. And I'm finding that very difficult at the moment to balance the two, sort of say, okay, now, how do I balance the two?
Yeah.
Because you can't quite leave the old earth now, whether you like it or not, you're still there. But it's very interesting times, that's why it's so important, to write these things down and to record them. Because we are the pioneers here. We are the ones that bring the new things into being. We are stepping into the space age now. We will literally start going intergalactic again. We'll be able to travel intergalactically. We're going to travel in university. I mean, we're literally going to reclaim our galactic heritage. So we're stepping into something that is totally new. And a lot of it, as we step into it, our soul memory banks will start kicking in.
Yeah.
And then we will be able to create what we need in that moment. And it's just going to come like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Candace just said, yes, we're turning on in joy this puberty, which is actually kind of accurate. It is. Because you know how it is, like when you're a teenager and then you start to get a little more independence, and then you're, I don't know, in South Africa, but like 15, you get a car, or 16, you get a car, and you might start working, and all of a sudden you have this whole new world just opens up, right? That's why, the teenage years, like for most people, I know some people had trauma, but it's such a powerful period, into your early 20s. It's that same type of energy, though.
Yeah, it is the same type of energy. And it's actually very exciting, and often I think about myself and I say, wow, and isn't this amazing, that we can literally now create a totally new world and a totally new beginnings in ways that it seems like science fiction, but it is not.
No, science fiction, to your point earlier, that's our history. That's our old history. It was presented as so. Yeah. So I'm just curious, this is a bit trivial, but it really isn't. So in organizations like, I don't know, say a country's government, or even the Vatican, or, just any and all, do you feel like that this energetic field, this group of people, this vortex, people in these types of communities and so on, you know what I mean? Do you feel that they are primarily in the, let's say, the 99%, or do you think there's equal representation in some of these places? In other words, people waking up like you and other people that come on the show that are actually inside the matrix, machine.
What I'm always told is that there's many things, as I was saying, in the inner planes. I mean that.
Right. Okay.
A lot of this you will not find broadcast anywhere.
Right.
But there's a great balancing act is going on. We haven't got a fraction of what is going on. Right. in whatever way it is. I was listening to Rupert Sheldrake the other day, where he was saying about his struggle, with the core science, because he awakened, you see. And he started to understand that you cannot take spirituality out of science, and he was saying something profound. He said that now he's bringing that science out in his own way and bringing the balance back between the spirituality and which really is metaphysics, if you come to think of it, because you cannot just have science and deny the creator. How are you going to do that? Because for everything, even the quantum physicists would tell you that it started somewhere,
Yeah.
And they give it other names or whatever, but it's still there. So a lot of scientists are waking up, but the thing is, what is holding them is that they know if they speak the truth of their soul, they lose their jobs. And it's happened to some. So it's a fear. It's a fear of when I speak my truth, I'm without a job, I'm sitting without any income and whatever else. What do I do now? You see? So it's the establishment. But the thing is, the establishments will start crumbling because they cannot hold form anymore. That is what I'm being told over and over again. the corporations and all those who run the world in their own way, it will eventually just not be able to get into that higher frequency unless they change within themselves. You see, but now it's a change that needs to come for every individual. But as the individual changes, the rest changes, you see?
That's right.
Because one soul has a ripple effect on the whole.
Yeah. Yeah, those things can't stand because the bricks they're built with are those people you're talking about. And so many people more every day are just saying, you know what, I've had enough. I can't do this. Yeah. I talked to someone a few days ago that isn't in these circles, and they were just saying how they couldn't take this job that they were supposed to take that made all the sense in the world. They said, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And I don't even know why, but I'm not going to do it. I thought that was really cool.
It's happening more and more. And people just say, no, I can't do this. You see, it's because the souls are awakening at a very deep soul level. And with that, the soul's truth is awakening. And the thing is, the soul is free. It cannot be put in any structures and forms and say, well, this is how you operate. That's not the way it goes. Yeah. That is why they always tell me that the structures and forms are disintegrating,
Well, they're not real. I mean,
they're not real.
Yeah,
they're
not. Yeah. I mean, there's, and I brought this up a couple of times because somebody had mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but there's a difference between polarity and duality. Polarity is what you were explaining about the mirror galaxy, to the Milky Way and so on. And, but duality is something that is at least unique in our comprehension to this realm. And there's a big difference. Like, for instance, I've had an ongoing thing, and I brought it up with you. We've talked about it before, but this whole thing that's been a challenge with the community and those that are practitioners like you, where, how do you create an abundant flow as you work out the conditioning and programs of scarcity? And so I've been on that for quite some time, and you hit plateaus and then you have to go again. So kind of hit a plateau, which I really don't see as a plateau. I see it as some new information's about to come in, or maybe I've got to do something. But last night I just quickly went through it and I saw abundance and scarcity. And it took like about 15 seconds. And I just watched them go like that. And they were one and the same, and it went, like into my body, and I'm like, okay, it's done. So that's my signal. Like, you can turn the mind off now, just allow it to happen. Yeah, but that's
we embrace life and life more abundantly.
Yeah. So when people that are the building blocks of these businesses and stuff start to do that, so I don't know, that's a pretty good observation you made a minute ago. It's either going to crumble or it's going to transform. But if it's actually built by the souls as they turn and transform themselves, you would think, I guess that's the way it works anyway, right? Just overall, we're just looking at the story and the picture.
Yeah, because you see, it's like a kaleidoscope. I mean, if you look into a kaleidoscope, there's a certain pattern that has been formed, okay? With all the little glass pieces. You turn the kaleidoscope, they've got to scatter, they disintegrate completely, and then they form a new pattern. And that's exactly what happens, at the moment. Everything is going to get scattered, like in crumbling, but then it forms a new and higher and much more beautiful pattern.
Yeah. Somebody just made a really interesting comment. I'd like to see what your thoughts are on this. I see people waking up without any dark night of the soul. Is that something you think that will become more of a reality? I mean, if theoretically those that have come early had to do a lot of shadow work, I guess, like what you're talking about with the kids from 2012 on, I guess that would be the norm. The norm would be no dark nights of the soul, right?
There are people that just wake up like that, and it's just been, and it's because you cannot always explain it. But some of the souls may be just like we're in a slumber and suddenly just awake and say, okay, oh my goodness, Jan, I'm not wanting to do this anymore. I mean, every soul is unique, and the thing is, the dark nights of the souls are normally the old souls, the souls who've been here for many, many lifetimes,
With the
like
gray hair and the gray
with the
beard.
gray eye, whatever. The thing is, we had baggage from other lifetimes that we needed to work through because there's negative patterns and so on. But now with the karma being lifted, that they're not necessary. We can still play out the old roles if we want to, but we don't. We're actually free. We're free.
Right.
We can fly wherever we want to. But a lot of those that have been born since 1994, those are the rainbow children. And even with them, I find they have no karma with the planet.
Really?
They came as forerunners before the sun children. And some of them are beautiful souls. They really, really come in with the highest knowledge that is within their souls. And this is the knowledge that they're going to return to the planet, so to bring the harmony and the balance and the unity back. And those are the young people. A lot of them are very, very, very. I mean, I have a therapist. I mean, he is so wide awake. That young man, he's got a depth in him that I've he's a wisdom within him that I've seldomly found in any, sort of like even older people in my life. And he's so awake. He was telling me yesterday. He said to me, "You know what? We already stepped into the new earth." He says, now we can co-create in a highly new way. And he says, we've all come in and we're prepared for that. And I thought to myself, there you are. He's talking the truth. He's wide awake.
How old is he?
I must be about 27 now.
God. Yeah, I've got three, 4, 5 kids from 94 through 2001. But particularly the 94, 95, 96, those three. We went down to Corpus, to South Texas, and we got caught in that winter storm, but we had kind of like a little family reunion thing that just happened to occur. And my two boys were there, so they're the same age, 94, 96, and then their cousin was there who was like born in 94, 95. And it was so cool because we had our generation, like my generation. Morgan was there. And there wasn't anyone from the generation before me, like my father or uncles. So it was these kids. And this one kid, my nephew, is an ET, right? I mean, so he's 25, 26, and he's, not conventional. He's not working a conventional job. And you know what I mean? So there's something wrong with him. And it was so crazy because it was such a multi-dimensional kind of night. Morgan, who never talks, they were talking about him in front of him. And Morgan, who doesn't do this, her throat chakra literally exploded. Her voice went hoarse. She was shaking. And she said, you don't understand how incredibly beautiful and powerful and unique and special this child is. And started to tell him that he was a star seed and, Blu-ray, and he's coming to change the traumas in the lineage. It's something that he's from another planet. And you should have seen these kids just light up. They just lit up like, oh my God, finally somebody's talking some sense. And not only that, a couple of my cousins that from my generation, they ran right up to her. They wanted to know more. So that was kind of cool. These little microcosmic events that happen that show you what's happening on the collective scale.
Wow. Full marks to Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what these youngsters, the young ones, need to know. They need to know they're okay. They need to remember their stars. They need to remember why they're here. A few years ago, I was given a vision. I was standing on a podium, and this whole podium, this vast auditorium, was just filled with all with babies and toddlers and the whole thing up to about in their 20s. This whole thing. And as one, they just put up their hands and they say, please help us, that we can stand in the fullness of the power that we've come in. We are new souls. We've come to the planet and we need help. And I will never forget.
Wow, that's powerful. That's like life altering, Yeah, I get that because when we left and we were talking about it the next day or whatever, I said to her, you know, like, what happened? Because there was another instance where they went up to my son, who's kind of engaged with a beautiful lady. Um, so he's, I guess, what, 27, like your friend. And they're like, okay, so it was my cousin or a couple of my cousins. They're like telling him, hey, so you need to have kids before 30 and you need to do this and you do that. And that was the first thing she did. She walked up and said, you know, you're just projecting your unconscious programming that was given to you by your parents. And my cousin goes, there was actually three of them. My cousin goes, oh my God, you're right. So it's so crazy to see how just the awareness coming in, this frequency that's been in these communities or been coming through us in these communities is starting to actually take root. Anyway, I was talking to her and I said, so what happened? She goes, well, you got to understand that. So they're actually hearing something that makes sense to them, like you were talking about. And like they're not crazy like we thought, right? And that what they're looking at, they know isn't right from an energetic standpoint. They just, and the other thing that really made an impression on me is when you said that they, you know, they don't have the karmic stuff that we did, right? I can see that in these three that I'm thinking of right now, my two boys and my nephew. They don't have that.
They don't have it. They actually, some of them come from galaxies and star systems that I don't even know of. You know, I just say, well, galaxy star system, they're somewhere. You know, I don't know
Right.
what they are. They haven't got names. We don't know about them. You know, they volunteer souls. They came in as star seeds. They're there to bring the new earth into form and being. And they're brilliant. They're geniuses in their own right. Look, all souls are genius. There's not one soul that's not a genius in their own right. Everybody is. But these kids come without karma. They don't have all the baggage that we had to work through in this lifetime. That's why we had to go through all the dark nights of our souls to let that go and forgive and let go and forgive and let go. These are just a totally new it's I don't want to use the word race, human race,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
a type of human that has been born since 1994.
Yeah.
First you got the indigos that were born just after the Second World War, because there the intergalactic councils called for volunteer souls to come in and to open the path for the new earth and the new thing, because they said never will there be another war like there was the two world wars. And they
Wow.
said we will start the silent revolution. So those that were born from about the 1950s to about 1970, those are the indigo children. And they'll pay what? They're the ones now that need to step into leadership roles and really take charge now. That's why they are here. Then you got the crystal children that were born from 1992 onwards. They're very crystalline in their makeup. They're the ones that brought the crystals alive again and brought them into consciousness of humanity with the indigo. They paved the way for these rainbow children who came in from 1994. The rainbow children are the new souls, and they prepared the way for the sun children. And now from this year onwards, the platinum diamond soul will be born, and they
Wow.
even so you see how this has all been divinely orchestrated.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier when you were talking about another example. It's like it's a symphony. People talk a lot. They'll say a symphony in respect to all the souls, but it's actually a symphony with the whole thing. I mean, it's the whole thing. It's the cosmology. It's the lineage. I have sensed and seen to some degree, but I've sensed to a much larger degree over the last year and a half or so, the integration or equilibrium formed by our what we would call our past, be it Anunnaki and Pleiadian or whatever. But yeah, that's this. There's so much going on. It's really come down to what you said earlier, which is, and I know it sounds cliche, and just get your mind out of the way. But it seems like it's happening as well, like I said earlier, like on an automatic pilot, like it's just running it's running, and just let it run. That's you running, you know?
Yeah,
It's
that's
weird.
right. Because there's a much greater plan here at work. You know, the more I see this, the more I see how it's cosmically orchestrated, the more I see that the divine master plan is at work here. Then I realize that our souls, you know, all our souls, before we incarnate, we sit with our higher guides and we go to the Pleiades. And there we are briefed about what our life will be on planet Earth. We know exactly what we let ourselves in for before we incarnate.
We
And
did?
then our, yeah, and then our soul contracts are created. So in other words, we sign it and we say, well, these are the soul essence and mastery that we want to sort of know. But the Pleiadians actually prepare the soul for incarnation on Earth. And during that time, you already know exactly what challenges you're going to encounter in life and who you encounter in life, etc. And it's these things now where you realize that when these souls came in as indigos or crystals or whatever they were, they already knew that the new Earth was going to be born. You see?
That's
So,
perfect. What a
so
great way to, yeah.
So in other words, nothing is by accident, all is by grand design. Once you
Yeah.
actually start understanding this, you start just getting silence because you are actually stunned by the vastness of it all.
Yeah.
That's often I'm speechless because I cannot find words for it. You know, you just go into that presence where you just dissolve into all that is and you are it and understand. It goes beyond my brain. My brain cannot go that far.
Mhm.
I'm just
That's how I
yeah.
felt this morning. I woke up this morning before Morgan, and I just sat on the couch and I thought, I'm going to cry. I thought, I don't want to cry. Let me connect. And then that's when Pamela Johnson, my friend, came in the field, and I wrote her a note. And by the way, Morgan handed me a note and said, Pamela's coming on in about 2 hours today after the next show. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, that's kind of cool. These things that happen, in synchronicity, sequentially, synchronistically. You said something kind of like this a minute ago, at least energetically the same thing. And it's like when we pay attention to that gut, when we actually engage it, it actually expands this whole thing that's happening. So that's to listen to it.
You know, it always comes back to be present, you know, to be present in this moment and allow everything to unfold as it should.
Yeah.
To be fully present in your soul and to understand that your soul actually has already got all the tools within itself to navigate, and
Yeah.
then to trust the process of what is unfolding, even if you don't understand it always. It's always that matter of taking those leaps of faith, because we're literally now taking those leaps of faith where we need go into what is unknown to us, yet it's known. It's both.
Yeah.
Because as we step into it, we will remember what we need to know. It's actually exciting times, and it gives me such joy and also a lot of wonder and awe, because I think to myself, wow, we're literally stepping into a new creation.
Yeah.
Yet we
Exactly.
are the creation that is creating.
Exactly. And it's so crazy too, like you said. there's this paradoxical reality, absolute, that's beyond our definition of paradoxical, that one thing holds true on one end of the polarity and the other one holds true and they're both just as true. I mean, like you said, but you don't know. And the one thing that I've learned, in fact, we were talking about this last night, I know that when there's a situation is presented, that the only way to find out what will happen is to engage the situation, you know? And there's something to be said for trying something or collaborating on something or doing whatever, where there is two or more, because, that's just a much more powerful component than one person, even though one person is huge. Yeah, it's amazing how the individual, in the power of the individual is becoming more and more evident. Yeah.
Because you see, we find that power within us. We're not seeking it outside of us anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I hope you come to the States soon again.
I'd love to come to the States.
Who knows what miracles can happen between now and May 28th when we have our first annual Soulogy Fest.
I see that it's in Sedona. I would love to go to Sedona.
Who knows? I mean,
it's pulling me there.
Well, and this is the thing too, because like if you take an example like the Soulogy Fest, like we're having our first meeting Sunday. There's 8 or 9 of us that are going to get together. We're going to do it by committee. There's at least a 50% plus feminine representation. We're going to try to flow this thing instead of doing the old patriarchal. And I just think of that as a conscious effort of 2 or more, but that energy is everywhere. That's those sun discs out there, isn't it? I mean, but still, if the sun discs are out there and the information it represents in the coding, that's not enough. It's just there like apples hanging on a tree. You still got to pick them, you know, and eat them and embody them. So this is exciting. But one of the things too is allowing it to happen, allowing the magic to flow. And that requires, how could we get, you know, somebody from South Africa here? Oh, there's going to be quarantines. Oh, there's going to be restrictions. All that just has to go. You know, when my friend at Vibrational Empowerment Network, Jade Lyons, hit us up on this a month ago, he said we'd like to facilitate the first Soulogy Fest. And the first thing I said was, well, what about the quarantines? And he said, what quarantines? Like what restrictions? What mask? And I said, oh, okay, I got you. So he was already a step ahead of me. But I think that's a big part of what it's going to take.
And by the way, you're going to experience some miracles there, because that whole area is being reactivated in a very high degree. I'm seeing that quite clearly now, and yeah.
Why is my heart about to explode now? Yeah. Here we go again with the crying thing.
You will have to fly me in, even if you use it. They'll have to get the flying saucers.
Well, the crazy thing is, I think I told you too, the last time we went, we had Morgan channeled in, you know, like over the previous few days, how all this stuff was going to happen with these sacred unions and these androgynous carrying the same Trinity frequency. And it all happened. And this pulsation that went out from Sedona. Last night, when she pulled in the channel, this was brought up. Like they said, everyone's going back. It's going to happen again. So when you said that, like my whole body just went blast off. We don't need to buy plane tickets. We'll just
we just teleport.
Hey,
yeah,
do
but,
you have?
but yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go on.
Go. No, you go. I insist.
I was just trying to say there's going to be magical things happening there.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah, Sedona's always been. I mean, I am not attached to anything, but I had three honeymoons with Anubis, and that one I can't let go of. I almost feel like, I mean, I know I'm everything, but Anubis and Sedona, something, I don't know. I'm Anubis. So if my eyes go red and I get a big long snout.
Yeah, but you're also into the halls of Amneti there. What's that? The halls of Amneti. Have you never heard it? Anubis guards the halls of Amneti.
Oh, Amneti. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty familiar. You know, I mean, even now, like just picking that up, it's you know, it stimulates my field. I don't know. There's some kind of, but yeah, there's something big going on there. I don't know. So, yeah, I just wanted to say too, like, is there anything that you want to do or talk about? Or if you have anything coming up, because we want to support you. If you have any, I know you do some stuff online. And of course, you do the soul readings. But is there anything you wanted to cover before we get out of here?
Well, I have a webinar next weekend where I'm going deeply into the activation of the solar discs within the spinal column, and also the soul star and the solar plexus heart and the tones that go with it. So that's next weekend. So, and then, this year is unfolding as it should. There's all sorts of things happening, and at the moment I'm going with the flow, because I find that if I plan ahead, it doesn't work.
That's right.
I need to just allow myself to be guided as it happens. So that's the beauty of it. There's so much happening now, and I'm going through so much that the changes in myself. In that channels open up, at such a tremendous speed. And what is going to happen is that people are going to find the power of love now everywhere. The power of love is going to speak directly into people's hearts and souls like never before. And that's also why we need to just completely let go of all the baggage that we ever had, whatever it is, that is still keeping the heart center closed. Because first souls are just going to find each other now at so many levels, and that is where the union part, the sacred union and the sacredness of union comes into form and being now in ways that the higher the frequency, the higher the type of love that one can access, that one couldn't even dream about. It's all coming together.
Here to that. I second, third, fourth, and fifth that. Yeah, it's it's beyond surrender now, and it's just like, I guess on one hand you can say turn the mind off, but the mind's turning off, and it's just it's happening. It's happening. No matter what's being put out on mainstream, no matter, like you said, you don't see it broadcast a lot, but boy, I sure feel like we got a lot of support. But last night I had to keep opening and closing my eyes because our room the windows are blacked out. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was tired, but man, I could not stop doing my eyes open and closed because I could swear the room was so lit. I could see, and I have seen before, but I could see, almost just see like the room with the light on. See, so wow, something big is happening. Today's a big day.
We're surrounded by hosts.
Yes. Yeah. I feel that. I feel like we have so much support. Like they're just busting at the seams to get to us, It's close, and it's going to be amazing. Every day's amazing. You're amazing, and thank you for your service. Is it JudithKusel.com?
Yeah. Judith
okay,
Kusel.
So there it is, everybody. I just put it up on all the platforms.
Yeah, of course, they can find me on Facebook too.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. So yeah, you guys, check her out, check her site out. She does incredible soul readings. Like I said, she's done it for us, and she's got that event this coming weekend, right? On this next weekend. Next weekend. Okay. So yeah, let's just continue to support each other in this year of co-creation and collaboration. Thank you so much. I love you. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you.
Thanks for activating me again. I'm gonna have to go lay down. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.